Hi, Eagles everywhere. I'm Eagles Insider Dave Spadaro, and these are exciting times for the football team with head coach Nick Sirianni He's in Philadelphia. He's at the NovaCare Complex. He's been in the NFL since 2009 with Kansas City, with the Chargers, most recently 3 years with the Indianapolis Colts, and now he's in South Philadelphia at the NovaCare Complex, and he gets right into the media portion of things, beginning with me right here. So, Nick, thank you very much for taking the time to begin your media tour with me. What have these first few days been like for you? What's so attractive to you about the Philadelphia Eagles?
You know, these first couple days, obviously was welcomed with open arms when I got off the plane. Just seeing the people, the great people of this organization there to greet me, and just getting the lay of the land here. Really, to be honest with you, just seeing where the building is, where the cafeteria is, where I'm going to eat, where I'm going to get ready for practice, and just looking at the practice field and seeing, man, that's where we're going to really get better, right there on the practice field. Wow, what a phenomenal organization. I just felt that from day one of the interview, really, and the interview process of the people that, starting with Mr. Lurie and everybody down from him, like just great people that just care about the Philadelphia Eagles, care about winning, and care about people. And I can feel that, and the coaches that we have here can feel that, and it's just been a great couple first days, just a phenomenal organization.
Nick, I know you want to get the lay of the land of the building, but you've also got to get ready. Time moves very quickly in the NFL. What have some of your priorities been in these first handful of days?
I think the first thing is to bring together a staff that I know are good people, good teachers, good coaches, and that's what we're trying to accomplish right now. Then it's evaluating our team and just seeing how the pieces fit. Howie and his staff have done a great job of organizing this team, and it's a good, talented team. So how do those pieces fit in the things that we want to do? And then we need to adapt to the players that we have, and we need to figure that out. I know coaches are looking at houses. My wife will be looking at all the houses. She takes care of all that. If I move her from city to city, her deal with me is she gets to pick where we live. So obviously there's things outside of football that we have to get used to too, right? Like the city. What a city this is. This is a phenomenal city. I've only seen it at night right now so far, but what a great city. I mean, what a phenomenal city. And I've spent time in this city before. I used to actually recruit this city. So I spent time in the Bucks County and at Central Bucks West and at St. Joe's Prep and at Roman Catholic. I've been to all those schools. So I guess I know it a little bit differently, but, just trying to get to know the city and the great food that I hear they have and the passionate fans. A lot of work to do in the building, but also want to see, get to know this city and because we just know what a phenomenal city it is.
Life's a lot different when you're recruiting for Mount Union or for Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Now that you're the head coach, you're going to see a whole different level of passion and excitement in the city of Philadelphia, and you know that, of course, Nick. I wanted to ask you about the roster. You talked about the players, and I know it's very early, but how do you learn about the roster? I mean, literally, for the fans who don't really have a sense of that, do you literally watch every play from last year? How do you get such a grasp on a team in such a short period of time?
At some point or another, we're going to have watched every play. You break it down just like you would when you're watching a draft guy or a free agent. You're going to start with a position group. Okay, I'm going to watch the quarterbacks first, and I'm going to watch every play and every throw that they made. And then we're going to go to receivers, and we're going to watch every target, and then every pass block that the offensive lineman had made or run block. So you just kind of zone in on one group, you dive in on that group, and you watch them. And you're just evaluating the player, and that's nothing new to us. That's what we do. That's one of our jobs. That's what we get paid to do, to be able to evaluate people and evaluate talent. And then it's the people around the building that you're asking questions about that player. Tell me about Zach Ertz. Tell me about Dallas Goedert. Tell me about those guys, and you're learning those things too, and you're talking to that player. So, that's the way we evaluate, because we want to evaluate the whole player, the player and the person.
In Indianapolis, working with Frank Reich for 3 seasons, you had 4 quarterbacks. Andrew Luck, Jacoby Brissett, Hoyer, last year Phillip Rivers, constantly changing. You've got a great reputation of working with the quarterback position. Nick, how hands-on will you be at that position? And what do you think early on about what the Eagles are offering at the quarterback spot?
I'll be very hands-on with that. A couple of the head coaches that I've worked for in the past said, you know, the reason you got the job is because you're a ball coach, right? You're a football coach. So do what you do. And that's one of the reasons I got the job. So I'll be very involved in that. In Indianapolis, we had the 4 different quarterbacks. But what a mentor that I had in Frank Reich, not just these last 3 years in Indianapolis, but also 3 years in San Diego with him as well. You want to talk about a guy that knows the quarterback position, that's a guy right there. And I feel like I got my master's, my doctorate degree in quarterback play, not only from Frank Reich, a great mentor to me, but also from a quarterback like Phillip Rivers, who played 17 years in the NFL. Yes, I was able to help him become a better player, but in many respects, he was able to help me become a better coach.
So, Nick, we all want to know, and you're going to be asked about this a ton, how do you feel about Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts, and how much was the quarterback position discussed during the interview process?
Feel great. I mean, you look at a lot of rosters and they don't have any quarterbacks, right, that they feel really good about. Well, we have 2. That's unbelievable to be able to have 2 quarterbacks that have played and that have played well. I mean, I couldn't have watched more tape on Carson Wentz in 2018 when Frank and I got back together and we were installing our offense with the Indianapolis Colts. We watched a lot of Chargers tape and we watched a lot of Philadelphia Eagles tape from 2017. And man, what an impressive player. He's got so much talent. And from what I've heard from everybody, great person. And, you know, good talent, good person, it takes your game to really high levels. So excited. And then, you know, Jalen got his snaps last year and was able to play last year. And he played good football in meaningful games. So not a lot of people have that luxury of having 2 quarterbacks that have experience. And so super excited to be able to work with them, because obviously we all know how important that position is to a football team.
During the interview, Nick, was that a big topic of conversation? Did you present your view of Carson and Jalen to Jeffrey Lurie?
Yes, we talked about that. We talked about, you know, how we attack defenses, really. I mean, just what the overall thought of the offense is, how we would use players in different variations like that. Did we talk about quarterbacks? Absolutely. But we talked about every position and what we valued out of that position and how we would use that position.
Nick, your coaching career, you've really climbed the ladder in the NFL. You've been a quality control coach, a position coach, a coordinator. How has all of that prepared you for this moment where you're going to address for the first time an entire roster of players?
Anywhere that you've ever been, you take a little bit of something from each person, right? Well, okay, this was Frank Reich, I'll take a little bit from him. My dad was a football coach. Okay, this is my dad, Fran Sirianni. I'll take a little bit from him. My brothers are football coaches. Okay, I'll take a little bit from Jay and Mike Sirianni. I had a really good college coach in Larry Karras. A little bit from Ken Wisenhunt and Mike McCoy, and you'd kind of come up with your own thoughts and your own ways of, man, that's pretty good. That's how I would run a team, right? And that's how I would address the team. So you take all those different experiences, and I've been very fortunate enough to be around really good coaches and really good people. And you take a little bit from each person, and then you have your own core beliefs and core philosophies, and you're kind of studying that. If your goals and aspirations are to become a head coach, I've been studying that, I guess, to say if my dad was a football coach, and he was ever since I was born, I came out of the womb thinking about that. But in all honesty, I mean, really, you know, been thinking about that for a long time of, you know, how I would handle a team and run a team. And I'm just fortunate and blessed that I've been around really good people and really good coaches that have cared enough about me to show me the way, and then that I was observant enough to watch and learn from all the great people I've been around.
Do you have a sense of what the daily message you would like to give to the locker room?
Really what I think it boils down to is that we need to connect with each other and ultimately trust, and that gets built through time, right? The connection and the trust gets built through time. So we have different ways we want to think through that. We want to compete with each other at all times. We're competing in the meeting room. We're competing on the field. We're competing outside of the meeting room when we're going from one meeting room to the other. And there'll be different ways to do that. So I just think competition is such a big thing that we want to establish here and build on here. Being accountable, right? Holding each other accountable. My job is to hold everybody accountable, hold the players accountable for what they do on the field, and hold the coaches accountable. But then I also want coaches and players around that hold me accountable too, because we're all in this together. So being accountable is going to be one thing. Being a smart football team. So if we can know what to do as far as our assignments, you know, then our talent can shine. And then also being a very smart situational football team. You know, we got good guys in this building that really care and believe in that. There's a lot of parity in the NFL. There is a lot of parity in the NFL. You know, this player's really good and this player's really good. And this coach called a good play and this coach called a good play. And so what gives here, right? This really good player against this really good player with their coaches worked all night and stayed up all night to make sure they had a good plan. What gives? Well, in my opinion, what gives is fundamentals and technique. Like if I can beat him with fundamentals, that's my edge. So connect, compete, hold accountable, be smart, and fundamentals.
Nick, I wonder, you've talked to coaches around the league. You've been in the league for a dozen years. This is your first time as a head coach. What is your sense of the greatest challenge you will have as you learn on the job the responsibilities of being the head man?
I don't think there's a playbook for it. And I think that's been the common theme as I've reached out to old mentors and people that I trust, right? There's not a playbook for it. It's just going to be about those 5 things that I just talked about. But I think where it comes down to is the things that I know I'm going to be challenged with. It's going to have to start with the connection that I make with people. It's a people business, right? There's going to be people in my office, I understand that, with different problems. And it's just being about caring about people and building that relationship with people. I think that can be a good start. Even though there's not a playbook, I think that's a good start to it all.
You said earlier that you came out of the womb and maybe took your first handoff. So football's clearly been a huge part of your life from the very beginning. What kind of player were you? We actually have some footage of you from your college days. How would you describe yourself as a football player?
I hope you have some good clips there, but I don't know, you're going to see a guy not running really fast, so now I'm a little embarrassed by that. But I think what I had to hang my hat on as a player and why I believe and why I mentioned it in my core values and beliefs is at least I had fundamentals. Like, I might not have been a better athlete, but I had good fundamentals. I really worked hard to be good fundamentally.
So the Eagles are going to be on the field here in 2021. People are going to be talking about the team around the league. The fans are going to have their opinions. What do you want them to say about the Eagles? What do you want the personality of this football team to be?
I want us to be tough, compete, and smart. And again, play with great fundamentals. You know, I've referenced my college coach a couple times. I remember when we would go to a place, and he has high school coaches friends that are going to be in the stands and games, and he said, if you guys go up there and we're not playing smart and with fundamentals, you're going to embarrass me in front of my friends. And that always stuck with me. And I just, the biggest compliment another coach or another player can give is, man, you guys are well coached, you play hard, you play tough. If the coaches are seeing that, I think the fans will see that. I think the city will see that, and that's really who we want to be.
Something for sure, Nick, that the fans want to get a sense of is, you know, you have to adapt things to your talent, of course. You did that in Indianapolis very successfully. What do you envision as far as the X's and O's, the scheme of the offense, for example, and what you want to employ on that side of the football this year?
Exactly what you said is exactly what it is. It's all about who the player is and what they do well, right? What we ran in Indianapolis with Andrew Luck and Jacoby Brissett and Phillip Rivers, it was different. What did they do best? And that's what you want to do. What do your receivers do best? And that's what you want to do. What does your offensive line do best with your back? That's what you want to do. And so the book's not written there yet, right? We have some core things in place, again, that we want to be able to do both offensively and defensively. But this next week, where we're evaluating our team and figuring out who they are, that's where we can kind of identify who we are even a little bit more. And then, yes, we can watch it on tape, but then we got to get on the field and do it with them, and then you find out a little bit more. And so I think that's a constantly changing thing, and you just play the cards that you're dealt and play with the guys and play to their strengths of what they do well.
Nick, do you plan on calling plays offensively? And if so, what is the challenge there? What are some of the keys to success for offensive play calling?
I do plan on calling the plays. And, you know, what happens when you call plays is that really, really hard work is done Monday through Saturday, right? Monday through Saturday is when that hard work's done with your assistants, right? With your quarterbacks, with your players, figuring it out. And you got ideas once you get into the game. Now you've done the hard work. Is there a feel to it? Of course. Is there adjustments to be made? Of course. But the core of the work has been done when you worked hard Monday through Saturday. That's what's always so cool when you go into a game really ready, because you're like, man, we worked our tails off this week to get ready. The quarterback feels ready. The players feel ready. In conjunction with calling the game, Well, there's also, you got to manage the game. That would be the challenge of juggling both of them. I know that we're going to work really hard throughout the week to make sure we're ready, and then we're built with the right people in place to handle the challenges that I foresee as the most challenging things.
Your vision for the other side of the football, can you tell us a little bit about what you could probably expect from the Eagles defensively in 2021?
You got a really high energy coordinator in Jonathan Gannon, and his excitement and his energy and his juice level and his passion for the game, it's contagious. So I think that's going to rub off on everybody. You know, you get a defense playing the way I know that I've seen guys play for Jonathan Gannon the last 3 years, that you better be on it offensively or you're going to get exposed, because they're just going to be so juiced up that you better be juiced up. And that will not only make the defense better, but also the offense as a counterpoint as well. Just a ton of respect for him as a coach, you know, coaching the fundamentals, and then his ability to scheme. I mean, so I think you're just getting a good leader, you're getting a good coach of fundamentals, and you're getting a good guy that knows how to scheme. So I believe that our players will be in really good position to make plays.
What do you anticipate your level of participation will be in terms of building the roster, having input into roster decisions?
Just like we're talking about with the coaching staff, that it's all hands on deck, everybody's inputting, and then us with the analytics during the game, because we all just want to get it right, to get the best guys in here to help us win football games. I think when there's that communication between the coaching staff and the scouting department of what we are looking for in players, and also take that a step further and how we would use that skill set, that pulls everybody on the same page. So can't wait to start doing that, and can't wait to start working with Howie and his staff to bring in really good players that love football into Philadelphia.
Nick, thank you so much for your time. Can't wait to meet you in person, work with you, and have great success in 2021 and the years to come. Nick Sirianni, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Dave.